I spent over 3 hours debugging my app, and the reason is that I couldn't solve the issue that if I deleted the last page that had any data, then my whole app would crash. And the reason that I found this was happening eventually is that in my for each loop, I'm looping on the indices of my array. And so when I delete the last page, the for each loop is still trying to get data from that index, even though there's nothing there. So let's say that there's only 4 pages in the app and that somebody's deleting the 4th page, which would be at index 3. Then after the page is deleted, it's still going to try to get components of that page. And when that doesn't work, the app will crash. And I tried to solve this using a lot of different things, including changing the entire implementation of the for each loop and using .onReceive and if statements and some multiple things. But eventually what I had to do is add in this if statement, which says if tab index is equal to vm.tabModelArray.count -1, then we show this separate code. And this separate code is basically what allows the user to add a new page to the app. And before, what I was doing is putting this code after all of my data. But now what I'm basically doing is for the last item in my array, I'm just going to show this code instead of the code that I would normally show for the page. So you can kind of just think of this code covering up what would normally be shown for that page. And also I did have to make sure in my init in the view model that there is always at least one page, because if that isn't true, then when the user first opens the app, they're not going to be able to add any pages. And so what this basically means is that there's always going to be one item at the end of my array that is going to be covered up by this code to allow the user to add a new page. And this is the best solution that I could find without using some very complex binding and things like that. You can read a lot more about this online, but this is how I was able to do it in a way that the animations and everything still work as they were.